Things are looking a lot better for home buyers. This is much better news. If you're a buyer, you should be absolutely thrilled that things are loosening up a little bit. They're certainly better than they were 4 or 6 or even 3 months ago, and that's good to see. Anthony Lamacchia here, broker owner of Lamacchia Realty, here to go over our Florida mid-year South Florida housing report. This is the time of year that we put out all kinds of reports, and I'm going to show you in a minute on the screen. We put out all kinds of different reports for all of the markets that we serve in many different areas that we have branch offices and major cities that we work in. And today I'm here to talk to you about South Florida, Broward County, West Palm Beach, and Miami-Dade. I'd say we do the majority of our business in Broward, but it's interesting to look at the whole entire area of South Florida. I was just there for a few days after being over in Southwest Florida for a few days. So I was in Florida about 10 days total, and I just love it down there. The water in South Florida, in Fort Lauderdale right now is so clear. Me and my boys and my daughter were deep diving and looking at fish. So it was a lot of fun. And it's certainly understandable to see why so many people are headed down there. It's just a beautiful place, and the weather's wonderful. When it rains for 20 minutes or 40 minutes, and it's over, sometimes 5 minutes. But let's take a look at the housing picture. We pulled together a bunch of data. I'd like to show you all this data. If you take a look on our resources page on lamacchiarealty.com, you will see that the last reports that Cole just put up were a bunch of Florida ones. This is a Fort Lauderdale mid-year report. This looks at 6 straight months specific to Fort Lauderdale. Then we have one just for Broward County, Miami-Dade County, Palm Beach County, and South Florida as a whole. And then we have the June housing report, just the month of June. Let's take a quick peek at that, since every single month I go over month by month. I always review the reports with you all. I'm going to zoom this so that you can see a little better, and I'll scroll down. If we look at the report, take a look at Broward County in the month of June. Closed sales up 37%, average price up 44%. New properties listed up 21%. Pendings was actually down. Now you look at that and say, how could pendings be down? I'll tell you why. Last year, Florida opened up a lot faster than the rest of the country, but by the time we got to June last year, after being pretty much closed up mid-March, April, and very early May, it was like people were let out of cages. I mean, it was crazy how many properties were going pending. And that's why there was such a rush on them. And it was especially for the single families. Now, look at condos and townhouses. Those pending sales are up 28%. It makes perfect sense. Remember what I've been talking to you all about. People were essentially avoiding shared living a year ago, back when this kicked off. So you see pending sales now being up 28% for condos. That's not surprising. And that's because people backed off so much. Look at closed sales for condos, up 127%. Remember last month? They were up, like in May, they were up like 160%. So clearly things have come back, and they have come back strong. And what I'd like to do is peek at the average sale price. Let's go look at that quickly. And then we're going to jump over to the mid-year report. Let's see if I can find it without taking too long. The average prices increased for single families and condos by 44% and 30% respectively. Single family prices climbed up by $221,000. So in June 2020, the average price for a single family property in Broward County was $498,000. Now it's $719,000. This is incredible data. Now, I want to point something out. I'm going to bring the camera back to me for a minute to talk about this. I don't want everybody watching this to automatically think that their home's gone up 50%. It might have gone up 30 or 25, but part of what is happening, and we're seeing it especially down in Miami, we're seeing it in Palm Beach County, and we're even seeing it in Broward. There's been a lot more luxury sales, and it's tugging the average up. That's why we're actually looking at median a lot more. But prices are up, and they're up a lot. So if you're someone who sat on your hands a year ago and waited to see what happened, you're going to pay at least 30% more. But statistically speaking, if we look at that average, you can almost see it on the screen here. I'm going to zoom the screen a little bit to make it easier on everyone to see. But you can see 719,000. Now, if we go down and look at condos, those prices increased 36%. They went from 307. I'm sorry, from 236 to 307. This is another amazing statistic when you think about it. Okay, that is a lot of action, and it's amazing to see that a year later. Now, what I want to do, let's look at the 6 months as a whole and see what's going on, because it was an interesting 6 months in 2020, which somewhat created an interesting 6 months in 2021. So you can watch me navigate my way back to the resources section of the website. And I'm going, see this right here? South Florida 2021 mid-year housing report. Let me take a look at this. I'm going to open up this graphic and jump back here and talk to you about this. You can see that dramatically more homes sold, okay? Dramatically more. We're talking about total sales up 60%. Well, that's obviously because sales fell off a cliff in March and April of last year, like we saw everywhere else in the country. So when you measure the whole 6 months, that's why you see that. And then we got into this year, the market was completely raging, coming back. Everybody was scooping up properties. And, you know, it's been certainly been an interesting time. But as I said in the beginning, and I'm going to talk about it more, it is better. It's improving. It's not dramatically better, but it's better. And I'd say it's getting better at a bit of a slower pace than up here up north. I got back yesterday. It is much better up here. Massachusetts, New Hampshire, places like that. We're seeing more selection, and it's getting easier to be a buyer. We're seeing it in South Florida too, but it's just happening a little bit slower. We just talked about that there. Average sale price, when you look at the whole 6 months, from 443 up to 659, up 48%. That's a lot. Homes listed up 15%. I actually was surprised that wasn't higher, quite frankly, but I think there's a couple of reasons for that. Last year, when we did finally get to June, a lot of homes got listed in South Florida. And this year in January and February, when the pandemic increased, there was less properties listed. Now you look at properties pending, up 43%. Pay attention to that. I'm going to show you something on that in a minute. Homes listed up 15%, pendings up 43%. What does that mean for inventory? That means that inventory decreases. Okay, I'm going to show you that right now. I'm going to skip my way down and show you. Look at the inventory of condos, especially since the beginning of this year. They've gone down a good amount. We're talking 25,000 at the beginning of the year down to 15. So now we're seeing, I told you all last fall, we saw signs of condos coming back. This spring, they've come back dramatically. Now inventory is lower. I will be totally honest, and I'll go back to the screen with just me. I do think in some of the high rises, we are seeing a little bit of buyer hesitation. What happened in Surfside at the Champlain Towers is just a tragedy beyond comprehension to lose that many people. And I'm so sorry for anyone that had a connection to anyone there and to those families. That is creating some buyer hesitation. Buyers are asking more questions. We have even had some people up here ask more questions. But sales are up so much and there's so much activity on condos that I don't think we're really going to notice. I do think there'll be some decrease, but there's such a run on condos now that I don't think statistically, it's not like we're going to say, oh, they were up and now they're down. I don't see condo sales going down here in the next few months compared to a year ago. I don't see it. There's still too much action. And for the most part, people recognize that though what happened in Surfside at those towers is an atrocity, really, it's a very unusual set of circumstances. I mean, you don't hear of that happening here in the United States. We're fortunate for that. So I don't see any major downfall, but we are noticing that there are more people asking questions, and we do sense some hesitation among certain buyers. So I just wanted to mention that because that's something that's going on, and I always like to be real with everyone. But now I'm going to jump back to the report and do a little bit more explaining. So you can see that condo inventory has dramatically decreased. Now you look at single family inventory. Okay, this is over, and remember, when I look at this here, this is turquoise is 2021, okay? 2020 is in orange. Now I go up, same colors. 2020 is in orange. You can see in 2020, inventory really started to fall as we got closer to May and June. Why? Because people were starting to buy up properties and sellers were not listing as much. We started the year in those counties with less than 10,000 single families for sale, which is unprecedented. And we dipped back in March. It's getting a little better. It's getting a little better. Why is that? Why does that happen? I will tell you why it happens. I'm going to stay on that graph. Here's what happens. Every single year, as we go further into the year, more and more and more sellers list properties. And we set up pages. If you want to look at Florida, I believe it's flrealestateupdates.com. I think Glenn's going to put that on the screen, flrealestateupdates.com. If we were to go to that page, which maybe I'll do in a few minutes, you'll see that each week people are listing properties. And each and every week, buyers are buying properties. So as the weeks go on, more and more buyers become satisfied because they find a home, they find a condo, they find whatever. So as we get further into the year and into summer, there's less buyers out there looking every year, no matter what the market. And there is more sellers. That's what starts to cool things off a little. And that's why I said, if you are a buyer, you should be thrilled. This thing is finally turning a corner. There was a great article in the Wall Street Journal a couple of weeks ago and it said how the frenzy is not so much a frenzy anymore. And we're noticing that. It's slowed down a bit. And that's a good thing. It's still very much a seller's market. There's no question about it. But it's not as bad as it was for buyers. It's just not, and that's a good thing to see. So now what I want to do is take a look at what's going on with pending sales in Florida. Obviously, pending sales, remember I mentioned up 43%. I have predictions for the rest of the year I'm going to get to in a minute. Let's take a look at some data here. I'm not going to hone in on every single data point. Glenn's going to be nice enough to put the link to this particular report in the comments. But if I look here, you can see that single family properties sold. Look at year to date, up every month. Maybe 3,300 back in January. Maybe 35 or 3,600 in February. 5,100 in March. A little more in April. May, a little less, okay? Now you look at June, it's going up. So property sold is up every single month, okay? There's a dramatic impact. There's a dramatic rage in the market. People are buying in South Florida. South Floridians are buying, North Floridians are buying, and people from up north are buying down there. When I was down there last week, I noticed an incredible amount of people from New Jersey. That was something that really stuck with me. Ohio, obviously Massachusetts, places like that, but I really noticed a lot of people from New Jersey. So if you look at this, condos and townhouses, look what happened. As we get out of the winter, when I'm going to go to full screen, as we get out of the winter, when the pandemic wore off and we got the vaccine, although things are a little tricky right now with the pandemic again, but look what happened to condo sales. People became more comfortable again, and that is why more and more people are buying condos. So certainly interesting to see what's going on here. Without a doubt, here's average prices. This is all three counties. Look at in January, average prices were $720. Now our average prices are pushing $900. Now, part of that is a little bit of seasonality, but a big part of that is people are paying more for properties. There were so many bidding wars that drove prices up. And it's very interesting to see. If you look at 2018, 19, and 20, there were some modest increases here, okay? But you get into 21 and things have just gone crazy. Now, part of that, again, is luxury sales are having an impact. There are just more luxury sales, and that's what we're seeing. And it's a good thing to see. Some things that excite me for buyers is just what I said. More sellers are listing. There's a few less buyers out there. That's good news. For sellers, it's time to be more realistic. You saw some months where you could almost name your price. Now it's time to be a bit more realistic, or you could price yourself out of the market. When you overprice, you sell for less. A lot of sellers think the higher they price, the more they're going to sell for. It's simply not the case. It's just not how markets work. You need to put your price in a position that you'll have an increased demand. Increased demand equals more money in your pocket. So when you're a home seller, be realistic. If everything in your condo complex, on the water is selling for 800 in the 800s, list at 800, list at 789. Watch how many people you attract. Watch what a bidding war you'll create. But if everything in your complex is selling in the 7s and you go for 900, you're not going to sell over asking. It just won't happen. Buyers are very informed. Buyers are very aware of what's going on these days. So keep those things in mind. I also want to mention something else that makes me feel very good about the Florida market, and that is foreign buyers have been somewhat cut out of the market. You look at Canada, only essential traveling, those that own businesses, those that are visiting sick family members, things like that can come down from Canada to South Florida. There's restrictions for those otherwise. There's also a lot less international travel, a lot less South American influence in South Florida since the pandemic. As that comes back, you are going to see increased demand. I don't think, given the fact that right now the news is talking about Florida having one of the highest rates of infection in the country, I don't think that that's going to come back soon, but it's going to come back. I was there last week, and it's a busy place. People want to be in Florida. I want to be in Florida. I'm looking forward to being back there in a month. So have these things in mind. I feel very confident that the demand for Florida will remain strong, but the market is going through a little bit of an adjustment period, an equilibrium period, where it's still a seller's market, but it's not as much. Quick note about Southwest Florida. I spent some time over there as well, and they're noticing it. I think they're noticing the market cooling off a little bit more than South Florida, which I find very interesting, to be honest. But I think they're seeing it more. So bottom line, if you're a buyer, be happy. Finally getting easier on you. If you're a seller, you should still be happy, especially if you're a seller who's a sell-by. If you're trying to buy and sell at the same time, getting those dates to coordinate and all that can be something that's scary. Our realtors do it every day. I was with our South Florida realtors the other day. We had a great training, meeting, luncheon. These people know what they're doing. They know how to help someone navigate one of these sales and handle the contingencies and handle the contracts. We pour a lot of resources into Florida, and we have a lot of things coming in the months to come. I can promise you that. We're going to be doing some expanding down there in the months to come. And we're continuing to add our resources, our marketing, our systems, our technology, like Lamacchia Links, that gets buyers access to properties before they're even listed. We just keep pouring it on, and we're not going anywhere. We are going to be there for the long haul, and we enjoy being there. So if you are buying or selling in South Florida, please let us know. If you're buying or selling anywhere in Florida, let us know. If you're a northerner and you are looking to buy a second home, or you are looking to relocate down there, we are here for you. We will relocate people to Florida a few times a week. A few people a week. We're helping them buy second homes or relocate entirely, and we're here for you. That's all, my friends. That concludes this month's update, real estate market update, and I will see you again in a month. Let us know if you have questions. Thank you.